I saw Trump 3 times in the month before, and it was obvious to me that he didn't want to do it. It was, I think, obvious in every TV appearance that he made. He was never made the case that this was going to help us in any way. He did make the case that Iran shouldn't have the bomb. Got it. It was never about that, of course. I don't think he wanted a nuclear armed Iran. I don't think he likes Iran. I think he's been told they tried to kill him. I think that's all real. But he understood the risks, and it was obvious to me from talking to him that he didn't want to do this, but that he kind of couldn't get out of it. And the American president just has less room to maneuver than voters imagine he does. And it's a horrible burden on every president since John F. Kennedy. You can feel it. And I think we should all go back and look at the tapes at pivotal moments, and like, these guys just don't have the latitude they thought they did.
The deep state, like CIA, FBI, NSA, all these organizations within the United States government, they don't have term limits. They're career government workers. They have a long tenure and they have a certain will. So they want the best interest of America. And they're like, hey, as long as we have the ends that we desire, we can do any means. They want the world to be a better place, but they go about it the wrong way. President Trump, he said, hey, we're not going to go to war. That's why people voted for him. But then these people within the deep state, it sounds like Tucker is saying, they pressured him and forced his hand, and they forced Marco Rubio's hand to attack Iran with Israel. And then Israel has too much influence within the United States government. They receive billions of dollars from the US government every year. I'm a little disappointed, but let's continue. We're going to go over the Iran situation. Iran is a fortress, and the Arabian Peninsula is a flat desert. The Gulf Coast countries, Oman, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, other places, they're sitting ducks. So they have the oil fields, and then they also have desalinization plants. So they don't get fresh water from any lakes or rivers because they don't have any. Only Iraq has those. They need desalinization plants to support their current population, and they need to produce oil, and then they can use that money to buy food and medical supplies. Iran, from this fortress of mountains, fire rockets, they destroy their desalinization plants so that these Arabians can't drink water. Iran, they also struggle with not enough access to fresh water. The Israelis and the Americans, they are planning to surround Iran and have a war of attrition. I don't want any war to occur in the world. It's often unnecessary. Military is understandable, but utilizing the military in this instance whenever there wasn't a preemptive strike. There was not a preemptive strike by Iran upon Israel or United States of America. Marco Rubio, he said that Israel was going to strike Iran either way, so then the United States of America was pulled into the conflict doing Israel's bidding, which does not sound like America first. So that's upsetting and disappointing because we're using federal tax dollars that could, instead of being spent on war and killing people in Iran, they could have been spent towards the healthcare system in America, making it better, fixing potholes, making housing more affordable, giving people more skills and tools to be successful. I'm very upset with the war. They say it's going to be over soon, but that's what they said about World War One. This place, you can see on the changing map over yonder, this area right here, it's a little narrow passageway through this Gulf, this Persian Gulf. And the Arabian countries, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Bahrain, UAE, Oman, they need this little passageway to get resources from the outside world. This passageway, it's only 22 kilometers wide. The United States government and Israel say they're sinking the navy of Iran rapidly, destroying all these boats, setting them on fire. Attorney General Pam Bondi said, hey, why are we focusing on Epstein files? The stock market is doing so fabulous and doing so amazing. Well, guess what? Because of this uncertainty with the passageway of goods and services through the Strait of Hormuz, supplying our Arabian allies, jeopardizing their security with this war and their economies. Now, Dow Jones looking down. I'm not the best at math, but this line shows that it went down because of the decision making of the US government following the lead of Israel and jeopardizing the US citizens in Arabia. They also jeopardize the stock markets and the investment funds of American citizens as well, and the economies across the globe. So this decision, very risky. I was watching a video last night and it was talking about the end times according to Catholicism and all that. In the end, there will be the Antichrist that comes, the mark of the beast, and you need the mark of the beast to participate in economic transaction, the exchange of money. And Iran, they were not playing by the rules, economic rules that the world wants to play by. They were acting isolationist and they had their own bank system and they weren't complying. They weren't being complicit. So the Western powers, they want this global economic system to occur with a conjoined effort from all these different countries and having all their centralized banking systems support each other. It's good for business, right? The economy keeps on increasing, the stock market and all this. If everybody's playing by the same rules, then there's accountability, and then there's more socioeconomic growth for multiple populations, right? So this is the positive of like a global network. But with a global network, if an individual is listed as like a bad actor, like Andrew Tate a few years ago, they froze his bank accounts and then they threw him in prison. And it's like, okay, did he do something wrong? Potentially. But what if in the future somebody doesn't do something wrong, but somebody just doesn't like them? Then all the banks and all the governments are in cahoots with each other. So you could just say, oh, this person, we don't like them, so let's freeze their bank account, kill them off, because they have no means of sustaining or even eating or living, right? You take away their money for housing, you take away their money for food, you take away their money for medical. This is why I like smaller government because you can work with specific leaders. If you have a good relationship with this one leader and you don't have a good relationship with this other leader, it's not the end of the world. But if all the leaders of these banks are in cahoots with each other, if you piss them off, they're just gonna cut you off. So it's dangerous. I don't like that. Makes me upset.